Hello friends, hello family, it's Green Weaver, back for another episode of groovy stuff, groovy ganja themed stuff on Alive Again 420. Yeah, still at work, still evicted, and when I say I'm at work, I'm actually hanging out at a place that I used to work part-time years ago, many years ago actually, but my friend slash ex-boss, and he wasn't really ever really a boss, we were just friends and I would help him out on occasion here and there, and you know, it wasn't, you know, it was almost like a future partnership to create something amazing was going to take place. I never got around to being able to do any of that, though, because of the way I was treated over the past 15 years, but especially the stuff that happened, you know, when my brother got evicted 12 years ago, and when I tripped and fell on that rebar spike that your company didn't remove after I asked you to remove it 5 times, for God's sakes. 5 times over 8 years. And not only 5 times, but 3 different managers. So which manager do I blame? 5 managers, all promised to take care of it, all promised to remove it, all kept apologizing after I came to them the 2nd time, the 3rd time, the 4th time, the 5th time, for how come it hasn't been taken care of yet? You know, and I ended up scraping my foot on it one time, and that caused my foot to swell big time. Also stubbed my toe on it another time. And that's why I started coming to these gentlemen, these managers, to please get rid of this rebar spike near my mailbox. And they kept promising to take care of it, but they never took care of it. And there was no way I could get rid of it. It's like a rebar spike, like in the ground, in the asphalt, about 2 inches, about the size of my pinky actually. Same color as the asphalt, really hard to see in the shaded area near my mailbox. Kind of a dividing wall is what puts a bunch of shade on this little rebar spike. That was really close, about 2 or 3 inches away from this dividing wall, but it was in a walkway area, for me at least. Most other people wouldn't be walking in this area except for me or my family. And thank God my brother didn't end up tripping on it, you know, because he already has enough problems of his own. My mentally challenged, physically disabled brother, who will end up in a nursing home probably within the next year or two, you know, just because sadly he was born with some, you know, cerebral palsy and a couple other conditions, but he's had a really good life so far, except the last 10 years could have been so much better for him if he had not been kicked out. Actually, I should say the last 12 years, you know, because it was about 12 years ago that my brother got actually not evicted officially, but kind of kicked out, and it wasn't supposed to be for life. Hello, managers. Hello, company that owns the manufactured home park. I'm never going to say the name of the company or the manufactured home park, not because I'm worried about libel or slander or any legal bullshit like that. Just because I'm a nice, respectful person that, you know, has always played by the rules. You guys have never played by the rules. There's so many examples, and you can read all about it if you check out. Oh, by the way, by so many examples, I didn't finish the sentence, and I'm not even high yet, but I'm about to be in 2-3 hours. But there's so many examples of mistreatment towards me that would all show that almost anybody would be affected negatively. The impact is great, and the impact has been terrible on my life and on my family's life. And it's like relentless, and I keep asking them to fix this, to fix that, to take care of this, to take care of that, and they're legally obligated to do so, but they never did. On like more than 10 of the things that they were supposed to handle, they didn't do anything. Only one thing they actually ever followed through with, and it took me 8 years asking basically a total of 8 times. I should have gotten a key 8 different times, and I asked year after year after year. And again, this went through 4 different managers. Finally, the 4th manager, and a female, by the way. The first 3 males. I have nothing against females or males. To me, gender doesn't really have anything to do with the character of a person or the quality of a person, the way they act, the way they behave, the way they do their job, the way they are with their friends, you know, how good of a person they are. It has nothing to do with your gender, you know. So but it seems like, here we go. Here's a woman that actually followed through finally. She finally gave me a pool key. It took 8 years, every freaking year, asking for a pool key in a very hot area, North County, inland area of San Diego, California, with a nice little pool, you know, and I love swimming. I'm a big swimmer. I used to swim hours a day during my high school and college years. Hours a day. And when I say hours, I'm talking 2 or 3 or 4 hours every day, 5 or 6 days a week, even in the summer, even in the wintertime. We had a heated pool throughout my entire, high school years and my college years. There was always a heated pool in my parents' backyard. So, and it was the perfect size. So I was always in the water. My brother Zane was always swimming with me. My dad and mom were often in the pool. More my dad. My mom wasn't a big swimmer herself. She just wasn't into it that much. But she'd jump in every once in a while, and enjoy, especially in the summer months of Sacramento. Because there's nothing better than jumping in a pool when it's 104 degrees outside, and that was rare back in the 80s. But these days, 104 seems like that might be the new normal for cities such as Sacramento, like during summer months. Oh, it's 104 again. Okay, yeah. At least it's not 120. I'm worried that might end up happening very soon in the next decade even. And I know I'm exaggerating by saying that, but maybe not. Who knows? I don't want to talk about my bad stuff though. I'm here to try to get high, and I want to upload one more video while I enjoy some edibles. In the last couple of videos I mentioned that I would get around to finally enjoying some edibles around 2 or 3. Well, it looks like the time now, well, it's almost 3. Wow, perfect. In fact, I'll let the phone have the time pop up on the phone, on my other phone, so you can see. And by the way, this phone is just a camera. This is an old phone that doesn't work as a phone any longer, but the camera in it still does work, and I use it as a backup camera for making my videos and my content for my channel known as Alive Again 420, which I do on YouTube primarily, and hopefully in the near future I'll be doing it on several other platforms as well, including the Weed Tube, because hey, it's a cannabis themed channel, it's okay. We got a little kickstart there. Let me have another mini kickstart. How many ropes do I have in here? How many tubes? I want to count them. I've pulled 4 out. If I just had one kind of a small one, 2 little ones add up to one small one. As a matter of fact, I think I have the pieces. Of those 2 other ones. So now I've had 2 complete ropes, or tubes. I think they call them tubes. Raspberry tubes. Remember the tubes? Talk to you later. And sushi girl, baby, yeah. And what do you want from life? And a lot of other great tubes. The tubes, the Fee Waybill. I don't know if he's still around. I think he passed in recent years. Actually, let me look that up right now. I don't know why I'm thinking that Fee passed. Just my life has been so. I hope he didn't, actually. I hope he's still around. Oh, he is around. Good. He's still with us. I don't know why I thought that he might have passed. He was born in 1950. He's the lead singer and main songwriter for the band The Tubes. And he's also worked with Billy Sherwood, Richard Marx, Toto, and some other artists. Now 70 years old. And his real name is John, but he goes by Fee. And I don't know why. F-E-E. I should read the Wikipedia article here. Support Wikipedia, my friends, if you use it. I use it occasionally, and one of these days I'll start donating a little, because I'm thankful for great services like this. But you know what? I've been so broke for the last 10 years that I'm not even able to donate to PBS any longer. I used to donate to PBS on occasion, mainly for my brother's sake, because he's a big fan of Mr. Rogers. And he's been with Mr. Rogers, watching that show, and it's not on PBS any longer, unfortunately. But for many, 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 many years, I would often tape the program for him, and onto VHS. And of course, this was back in the 80s and 90s. And when I tell you I taped over probably 400 or 500 episodes, that would not be an exaggeration. Because I was taping it every single day that it was on, and I'd use 6-hour tapes at the slowest speed, so each tape could hold 6 hours worth, and it actually ended up being about 6 hours and 15 minutes worth. And I think Mr. Rogers was, from the start to the end. And I would always, when I finished recording the last episode, I would stop, I would rewind it, cue it up to right at the end of the episode, put it back in the VCR, turn it off, and I had just one VCR. That VCR's job was only to tape Mr. Rogers off PBS in Sacramento, California, back throughout the, I think I started doing this around 82 or 83. And I kept doing it all the way up until probably about 1997, early 97. So that's 15 years of taping every single episode of Mr. Rogers onto VHS. And each tape would hold, at least 13 or 14 episodes. It might have been 15. 15 episodes per each VHS tape. And I think... I was getting close to, I had a couple hundred tapes, like maybe 265 tapes full of Mr. Rogers. It's just a whole wall full. Reminds me of that movie, 3 Men and a Baby. I think Tom Selleck had an amazing video collection he was showing off to his buddies in that movie. There's a flashback for you that I don't know why that popped into my head. Anyway, what I want to do now, I've had one. I want to count how many I have left, and then determine how many I want to have. I've got 2 here, plus 2 here. So that's 5, because I already had 1. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5. I'm going to have these many, and then these I'm going to save to ride throughout the course of the rest of the day. But I've just completed a total of 2. By the way, these are smashed gummies from Los Angeles, California. Raspberry tube gummies, a 5,000 milligram package here, with each tube being about 125 milligrams apiece. And it comes with a total of 40 gummies in here. And I've just downed 2 of them, and I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 left, so that'll be a total of 9. And I'm going to make it quick. I'm just going to go through these quickly while I watch a video I made yesterday morning for my channel known as Alive Again 420. And then I want to take some notes so that when I upload it, I know what to call the video. And I want to make sure that there's nothing, too weird. I don't do anything super weird in my videos, but I don't know. It's smart to make sure you watch anything you upload. Make sure you're cool with every second of it. And once in a while you might find something that you're not happy with, but I leave it in because you know what? I want my videos to be 100% real because they are. Okay. Just into that last episode a couple minutes ago. Oh yeah. I never showed the time. And I'm not even high yet. I just have a lot on my mind. In my videos, I'll often talk about my mind being scrambled. It's because it is. It is super, 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 super scrambled. Remember the video game Scramble? I used to play that in my junior college days when I went to American River Junior College in Sacramento, California. I've sailed through junior college without even trying. Mainly A's, some B's, no C's or D's or F's. It was a cakewalk. I was in the arcade half the time playing Defender, or Pac-Man, or Miss Pac-Man, or Centipede, or Millipede, or Joust, or Pole Position, or Gauntlet, or so many other games. Missile Command was one of my favorites of all time. Defender was one of my favorites of all time. Just a lot of action going on, and it was fun beating those games, kind of. If you don't understand what I'm saying. You can never beat a video game, really. I never took it that far. I think there are some games that can actually be beaten if you're super, 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 super good. And I was really good, but I would only spend an hour or two a day in the arcade. I know there's some freaks that would spend like 6 or 7 hours a day in the arcade. For me, that would have been fun, but there's no balance in that. You got to enjoy all of life. From your studies to your work to your playtime, to the food you eat, to the friends you hang out with, to the things you do for your friends and your family. Oh, I have 4 left. I'm just going to keep working them. I'm waiting for my phone to show the time. And maybe it doesn't. Oh, there it does, actually. There we go. Oh, it went away. 3:07. Look at that. It shows for a second and then it fades away. And then you shake it. And it turns the phone on. But it is 3:07. Which means from 3:05 to probably about 3:10, like a 5-minute period, I'm going to nail 1,000 milligrams of edible gummies. 1,000 milligrams in 10 minutes. That's 100 milligrams a minute, baby. Wow. That's like 100 miles an hour. Now that's dangerous, unless you're a professional racer. I don't have the right vehicle to do that kind of shit. I've driven 100 miles an hour before. It was a thrill. I've never done it. I didn't do that much in my entire life, but I just wanted to see what it felt like to drive 100 miles an hour. You know, I was in college probably when I did it, and I was in a vehicle that could handle it no problem. When I did it at night on a freeway that had virtually no traffic on it, at least when I was driving 100 miles an hour, and it was only for like about a minute. And it was no big deal, even for the, you know, the 21, 22, 23-year-old me. It's like, but I've never been into fast cars or fast women in the first place. I like being chill. I like taking my time and doing it right. Whether it's Julie on a Tuesday morning or Heather on a Thursday night. Take your time, baby. Do it right. Playing the hits that fits, baby. Got Popeye's Place / Club Sonar. Old Sacramento, baby. I throw that in every once in a while because I know out there we used to get thousands of people a week through the doors. As a matter of fact, we get more than 1,000 people a night coming through the doors of Popeye's place. There were nights where we get a total of 1,300 to 1,400 people that paid cover charge to enter our club. A lot of that had to do with the music I was playing. Of course, a lot of it had to do with a cool little club. It had a very groovy, dive-ish bar vibe, but at the same time, it was a beautiful dive bar, a groovy dive bar. I wouldn't even call it a dive bar. It was just a little club, a nightclub, that played oldies music, 50s, 60s, 70s primarily, with some early 80s, and you know, it had been in operation for about 2.5 years, I think, when I first started working there, maybe almost 3 years, and the club had built up, you know, a following where they'd get at least on average 500 people a night through the door. You know, which is pretty damn good for a club that only holds legally, I think, 400, even less than 400 people is the maximum legal limit according to the fire marshal. Maybe 420. Oh yeah. Back then I didn't know what 420 meant, but it wasn't 420. That wasn't the number, and the number wasn't. I don't think the number was actually ever posted anywhere in the entire club. It's just, and maybe it was supposed to be, but again, this is the most of the 90s in Sacramento, California. Old Sac. Fanny Ann's was right down the street. I used to always grab, you know, some grub there, you know, on nights that I was hungry. And then I'd head over to Popeye's place, and I'd spin the tunes, baby. Spin the tunes. And I took that club from being very successful to super, super, super successful. I probably quadrupled the owner's profit within 1 year, and it stayed that way for pretty much the next 4 or 5 years. And then he changed the name of the club to Tabloid 95, and then he started getting involved with the music. And he started telling me, no, I want you to play this, I want you to play that. And I had no choice. He's the owner. He's the boss / owner, so I had to go along with him. And I kept warning him, Leonard, I'll just say his first name only, even though I said the name of the club, Popeye's place and Club Sonar, so there's no secret here. Everyone that's ever worked for Popeye's place or Club Sonar, there's probably been about 100 people that have worked there at least, because the club was open for close to 10 years, or actually a little more. And there were nights where we'd have like a crew of just 20 people working at the same time, at least, because there was, I'm trying to remember, there was about maybe 7 or 8 bartenders on a really busy night, and there was probably about that many cocktail servers, you know, that would bring the drinks to people, and then there were the bouncers, and there were typically, and the doorman, and there was probably about 10, you know, bouncers. I hate calling them bouncers, but I guess that's technically the simplest way to categorize, you know, someone that you know is doing security for a club. And of course, there was no guns or anything. The club was mellow. It was a groovy little club. It started becoming troublesome the last year I worked there, which has nothing to do with why I left. I ended up leaving because my father ended up being stricken with cancer, and this doctor told him he might only have another year and a half left to live at the most. You know, so to get his affairs in order and do whatever he wanted to do, and wow, heavy shit, man. I miss my dad so much, and I was always a mama's boy. My mom passed really young. She was only 57 years old when she passed. Multiple sclerosis. My dad passed about 10 years ago, cancer. But he made it, he was just shy of 80 when he passed. But both my parents had been heavy smokers, you know, their entire life. So I probably have smoke in my body from just being in a house full of smoke, you know, as a kid. You know, but I always tried to stay away from the smoke as often as possible. And I was really good at that, because I would just stay in my room, and I would keep windows open, I'd keep fans on, and I'd go outside as often as possible, and of course I slept, you know, at home, in my bedroom, in my bed, but my parents wouldn't smoke at night, so smoke was never really an issue at night. But still, I'm sure a lot of secondhand smoke got into my system, And I never smoked cigarettes in my entire life besides twice when I was, actually when I was about 8. My dad wanted me to try a cigarette just because he knew I would hate it. My parents were smart enough to know that because I was fascinated by the fact that they were smoking these things all the time. I would, kids, and I was an intelligent little kid, I think. So I'm watching my parents smoking, and I would ask, and I think finally and it happened on 2 occasions, 2 different things. With alcohol once, and that was like maybe when I was closer to 10 or 11. But when I was 8, I just wanted to know what this smoking thing was all about, because I was living in Europe and the Middle East and countries such as Greece and Kuwait City, Kuwait, and Cairo, Egypt, and Rome, Italy, and did I already say Athens, Greece? But I was living all over the kind of the Mediterranean and Middle East areas. That's where I grew up. Didn't move to America until I was 10 years old. But a lot of people smoked in those countries back in those days, and I assume even in America. But it was way, way, way worse in some of the Middle Eastern countries, especially because if you go there now, and I visited them, I took a trip in 97, 98, and part of 99. Half of 99, I visited Athens again. I visited Cairo, Egypt again. I visited Venice, Italy, and went back to Rome again. Visited Morocco, Marrakesh, Istanbul, in Turkey, baby. Istanbul, not Constantinople, baby. They might be giants, baby. The second greatest group that has ever existed, in my opinion.